Hey guys, Corey here. Welcome to Blue Talks, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Hi. So I'm here to talk about being overwhelmed, but actually more important about how not to feel overwhelmed, okay? So I want to introduce you to my client. Her name is Barb. And so Barb is a middle-aged woman who works as a hospital administrator. And she's got a husband who works really hard, but he's really critical of her, of everything she does. She's got a son who has some issues with ADD. She's got a daughter who's been to rehab for addiction. And the problems at her nursing home keep coming and coming and coming. So she's not sleeping very well. She's gained 20 pounds in the last year. She doesn't know what she's going to do with things. She's not performing at work the way she wants to. And she doesn't know where to go. She's overwhelmed. She's like, doesn't know even where to get started. So in one word, I call it, she's overwhelmed. So is there anybody here who's ever felt overwhelmed or knows somebody who's been overwhelmed? Yeah. So good. This would be a good talk for everyone, right? So here's the deal. We live in a world that has unbelievable luxuries. Like, it's incredible, right? But there's more suicide. More people are taking antidepressants. More people are stressed out. There's literally thousands of books on how to have less stress. There's incredible counselors and therapists, and they have these great techniques. And yet, we're still more stressed out. We're feeling anxious. There's more fear. And there's more people who are feeling overwhelmed. So what the heck is up with this, right? What? So here's the deal. I can help Barb with one sentence. And anybody who's like Barb, I can help. But you're going to have to wait for this pearl till I lay some groundwork, okay? Are you willing to wait? Very good, okay. So here's the deal. The groundwork is you can't get rid of stress, ever. What? And here's why. Because stress is us trying to adapt to our changing environment with our changing body. So the only way to have no stress is to be dead. And I don't really want everybody to be dead, right? There's got to be a better way than that. So it's really an impossible dream to give up. It's an impossible dream to get rid of stress. And so one of the things, here's the real kicker. So it turns out humans have these incredible skills. But the same skill that makes you safe and successful is the same thing that causes the majority of your stress. So it turns out that human skills have side effects. You're like, wait, what does that mean? Okay, so we have this incredible skill of envisioning the future. It's the skill that got us here today, right? We had to plan ahead. We had to make sure we got an Uber. We had to figure out what to do. We're going to lunch and for dinner. But that same skill is the one that says, I'm now worried about, well, how are my kids going to do without me being there? What if I got stuck in Toronto traffic and I couldn't get here on time? Right? What if I had a car accident? Right? Okay. So then your friends are like, well, okay, just live for today and you'll be happier. And you know what? They're right. You would be happier. My 1-year-old grandson lives for today and he's really happy. But as an adult human, you can't live for today. Our future is so real that it's literally a part of our environment. So you have to give up the idea of getting rid of stress because that desire is actually taking away your energy. It's wasting your energy. And the other thing is it makes you feel bad about yourself. You start criticizing yourself, going, no matter how hard I work, I can't get rid of the stress. So you have to give up the idea that you're ever going to get rid of it. And really what you want to do is learn how to manage it. So Barb comes and she says, you know what? I need help. I'm desperate. I'm overwhelmed. I need help. So she goes to see a psychiatrist, who of course diagnosed her with being depressed. So Barb knows that depression means, I have a chemical imbalance, which then means I have to take a medicine. I have to take a different chemical to fix the balance, and I'm going to have to take it forever. So she's like, all right, fine. I'll take the antidepressant. So she goes home, she takes the medicine, and you know what? She feels better. But then more problems start coming up. And then she starts having a side effect to the medication. And so she's like, goes back to the doctor and he says, we'll just change the dose or we'll add a second dose. And it's then that Barb realized, you know what? I'm going to be overwhelmed the rest of my life. But Barb she got the advantage of seeing me. She came to see me. And I realized, you know what? She has the symptoms that fit with that diagnosis of depression. But it turns out those symptoms can be caused by other things. So what I said to her is, you're not depressed, you're overwhelmed. And here's the difference. When you say you're depressed, then it's chemical imbalance. But when you say you're overwhelmed, what that means is, hey, you know what? If I just get rid of some of my problems, or I find better ways to handle the problems I have, there it is. Then I'm not overwhelmed anymore, and I'm back to being normal. So what I showed her was this thing that I call an S-curve, okay? So an S-curve, here's what it is. So here I'm down here at the bottom of the S, and I have one or two problems, and you know what? I'm in control. I got this, right? But then there's a slope, and I go, whoosh, and now I'm up here. I just had one problem, and all of a sudden, now I'm overwhelmed. And being overwhelmed adds a fourth problem, because now I'm overwhelmed, and I don't even know what to do, right? So the reason I show Bob this S-curve is because, look, when you're up here overwhelmed, it's scary. You're like, well, I don't even know what to do up here. I'm in like this dark cave and there's no lights, not how to get out of here. But what I can show her is, look, hey, Bob, all you have to do is get rid of one problem. And then you go back down the curve and then you can feel in control again. So it's not as bad as you think. Now, one of the things that gets people overwhelmed is they do this thing I call lumping. You're like, okay, what's lumping? So let me give an example of lumping. So my friend calls me 8 o'clock in the morning and she goes, I have to go drop off my daughter at school. Oh, and I got to pick up my friend at the hospital. And then I got to give a talk. And then, and I got to call my husband because he's out of town. Oh, and I forgot. Yeah. I got to do something for my mom. Oh, and my grandkids need to do a birthday for her. And she goes, I'm exhausted. I'm like, it's not even morning yet. You just got up. Like, what? Right? So that's lumping. Okay. So I want to teach you how to de-lump. Okay. Like that, right? So de-lump, and what I use is a thing called shoebox method. And you're looking at me like, okay, what's a shoebox method? Okay. So now envision yourself walking into a bedroom and you walk in and there's 100 shoeboxes. And you're like, the bottom's here and the lid's over there and the left shoe's here and the right shoe's there. And there's 100 of them. You're like, oh, this is like freaking overwhelming, right? But if I walk into that same room and now here's the box and the left hand shoe right in and the lid's on top and then stacked nicely in the closet, same amount of shoe boxes, and that's a lot, that's 100, right? But it's not overwhelming. So now when there's a problem, I take one down, look at it, put the lid back on and put it back up. So that's de-lumping, okay? Now, can you put every single problem in its own little box? No, because some of them are connected. But the more that you keep them separate, then the less overwhelming they become. So I promise you that I give you that one sentence, right? And so here it is. Okay. So your stresses are a 10, and they max out at 10, but everybody else's stresses max out at a 5. Now, that doesn't mean they're a 0. They're still a 5. That still means you're going to care for them, but their stresses max out at a 5. They're not your stresses. So how do you do that, right? So I'm a young doctor and I'm just starting out my practice and patients are coming in and every single person has a problem, but I'm going to fix them, right? Well, by lunchtime, I'm taking everybody's problem on. They got their 10s, right? I'm going to fix this, right? By lunchtime, I'm overwhelmed, okay? Because you can't take on everybody else's problems. What I had to learn was that you can't fix anybody. The best you can do is give them advice. So I gave that advice to my friend and she came back to me. She goes, oh my God. She goes, I realized that I was talking to my son and taking on his problems as if they were mine. And I was so frustrated because I couldn't fix them. And so I was taking his stresses on as a 10. And when you told me I could take it as a 5, it was like it freed her up. It said, so it didn't mean that she stopped helping her son, but it meant she stopped feeling like she was failing. So the other tool that I had to learn was a thing called an empathy wall. This is what I found. So an empathy wall is here to protect me because I have to go and tell patients they had cancer or I had to diagnose them with an addiction or somebody might suddenly die, which can be devastating, right? If you're taking it all on. So I had this wall that protected me. And one of the ways that it did that was by making it so, you know what? If I do my job, then I'm going to be successful. And my job is to give them advice and get better at giving the advice so they can live a happier and healthier life. My job isn't to fix them. Turns out I can't fix them. Only they can fix them. But I can get better at giving them advice. I can get better at delivering the message, right? But I'm not failing if the person doesn't do well, if I did my job correctly. So I can't get rid of Barb's husband who's not nice. I can't get rid of her daughter's addiction. I can't get rid of her son's ADD, but I can get good at helping them. Okay. And yet you can do that too. So, but the key is the empathy wall has to be thin enough that you can still feel empathy, right? You still want to be able to show that you care for people, right? So what I do then is I put myself in their position and say, hey, if I was in that position, what would I want to hear to help me, right? Which then makes it easier so that I can say, okay, I can help you, but I'm not risking being a failure. So then I want to talk about leaking sponges. And you're like, what's a leaking sponge? Okay. So it turns out we all like to be in a group, in our meeting, and we're talking to people, we're telling about the things that are happening to us, and we take on other people's stresses, and we're like, oh yeah, let me help you out with this, right? But if you take on everybody else's stress as a 10, it doesn't take long before you're oversaturated and now you're leaking. And you see yourself leaking, like, I'm leaking. Like, okay, but you can go to your friends and say, you know what? I'm already pretty saturated right now. All I got available for you is a 5. And I'm going to use my available resources to help you, but it can only be a 5. And I want to tell you this right now, that worrying is not showing that you care. So worrying, here's what worry is. Worry is envisioning the future, but focusing on all the bad things that can happen, and then having a fear reaction right now. Okay? So fear can be mild anxiety, full panic attack. But what fear does is it makes you turn off the thinking part of your brain. So when you're operating in fear, you literally, or worry, you can't think that right? It makes it harder to solve the problem. So I give people 2 tools. One is called realistic optimism. So realistic optimism, I'm going, you know what? Instead of focusing on the bad things, I'm going to focus on the good things. And that makes me feel good right now. But, and here's the key for all you men out there, you can't ignore stuff, right? Bad things can happen. So now I use my second tool, which is my worry organizer. And the worry organizer helps you figure out how can I handle things, but without fear. So let's go back to Barb. So she got this hope that she didn't have to be overwhelmed anymore. She could be supportive, but she can't take on her family stresses as a 10. So she can help them out as much as she can. She can go read books. She can go attend lectures. So she can do that. But now she's not afraid of failing because she knows that she does her job. It's not her job to fix them. It's her job to help them get better. So she isn't risking failure anymore. So she went down the S curve. So now she's feeling more in control. She has more energy. Yay, right? Okay. So I'm imploring you now. If you're starting to feel overwhelmed, don't resign yourself that you have to feel overwhelmed. Because you can build up your empathy wall. You can stop being a leaky sponge by just making everybody else's mom X out of 5. You can de-lump with your shoe boxes. You can be supportive with others, but without falling apart. Your wall has to be thick enough that you can protect yourself, but thin enough that you can still care. You can go down the S curve and you can feel in control and now feel like you have some coping skills. I want you to stop feeling overwhelmed. I want you to put a beaming smile on your face and I want you to enjoy all the luxuries that are around you. And then I want you to live your life overwhelmed no more. Thank you.